Hey guys, ClintDarden.com, and of course the house of Biceps. All right, guys, I'm here out here training. I had a really, really great question that came in this last week. It's on my phone, or I would read you exactly word for word what it says. I had a client that asked, Clint, I want to be like you. What do I need to do? Well, obviously, you stop shaving, you quit work, you move to an island, you meet a hot girl. Works for me, right? This is a great question, and I've been wanting to answer this probably for years, just waiting for anyone to ask, to be honest. And when this person was a client that asked me, that's one of the biggest compliments that you can have. When someone asks you about your job and they've never really experienced you long term on your job and the kind of job that you do, they've never employed you before to do a job or a service, and they ask you, how is it that you get to where you are with your base of knowledge doing what you're doing? That's one thing. But when someone has worked with you long term, when they've hired you, employed your services long term, they know your pluses and minuses, and they still ask, how can I get to where you are? Man, that just makes your day right there, guys. So I went through some discussions back and forth, trying to get to the root of exactly what this person was asking, because there are several different ways that you can take this. So basically, this individual was wanting to know whether it would be worth it for them to get the NASM certification, was it a CSCS certification, or if there's anything else that they should get. And from my very unbroad knowledge of both of these, you really have to look and see, look at the field that you think you would like to work in, and what kind of prerequisites are they asking for? What kind of certifications are they asking for? If you want to work in a CrossFit box, obviously you want to go get CrossFit certified, whatever they can do. If you are working like as a strength coach somewhere, you probably want to get the CSCS certification. There are a lot of places that are looking for the NASM. Now, I've heard that a lot of, let's say, if you want to work at a university or something like that, and they wanted the CSCS, that depends on what your educational background is as well. And I know that you have that education background. I have heard from people that they learned more. They took both certifications just to learn, and that they felt that they learned more going through the NASM program. I don't have any experience with that. That's just what I've heard. Might not be true. But this individual said, hey, not looking to work as a strength coach in a facility, not looking to work for a team, not looking to work in a gym. They want to do what I do, either one-on-one or online. How do we do that? This is a great question. So I'm going to go back and try to be as brief as possible, and I'm horrible at being brief. So I went and got my first loan at a bank when I was either 12 or 13, maybe about to be 13, or I was 13, about to be 14. Went into the bank, had a meeting with the president of the bank, me in a suit and tie, went in and got a loan to start a business. And I began teaching martial arts classes on my own. I opened my own school. I rented a room at a gym. And began teaching martial arts. Loan, bought everything myself, full thing. And that taught me a lot about working with people, different people that come in that you're working with, the ability to, gaining the ability to teach, making plans, sitting down days before and writing stuff down. These are little things that you don't think martial arts instructors do, but they are just like teachers with lesson plans. They don't just show up. You have to have a plan. Oh my gosh, you realize I don't know enough about what I'm talking about. Let me go and study and learn. Go back and prepare. The same thing we did in nursing school. You go to a hospital the night before, you get a patient that they give you, you drive all the way back home, and you sit down and you do all of the chart work the night before, and you're back there again at 6 o'clock the next morning working with that patient all day. That's, hey, unless you have a black belt, want to open up a school. Not that you even have to have a black belt to open up a school. Nobody checks. Nobody cares, really. And there are lots of white belts that are better than a lot of black belts that I know. just like strength coaches. But that's really where I began. By the time I was 16 or 17, I was lifting in the gym full time. My parents had hired a coach, a trainer for me that I was working with 3 days a week, and that just wasn't enough for me. So I began going to the gym on my own another 3 days to repeat and do more work on my own. And about that time, my parents began coming to the gym, and I began working with my parents. We had one day that was kind of leg day. We had one day that was chest and back, and we had one day that was shoulders, biceps, and triceps. Well, me being the person that I am, I had to show up with a plan for me and a plan for them. And it kind of got my foot in the door about little things that we can do that's going to fit their needs as someone who was, in their, well, my age now, going to the gym for the first time. Um, that gave me a lot of knowledge, just the fact that I was working and studying and trying to learn, and then trying to work with people that I cared about and that cared about me as well. That developed a lot of relationships, but also taught me a lot about how do you deal with someone that you cannot have an argument with, and then you have to go to the gym and work together. And that's the kind of thing you deal with a lot of clients as well. Personal relationships and making them work on the field or in the office, so to speak. I went through several years and time periods doing different things. I got really, really busy with school and college. I could no longer afford a gym membership, so I began investing money, borrowed money, and invested money into a home gym, began training at home. But there are a lot of things that I wanted to still do at a gym. So I went from there. Guess
Boys,
Luke's been asleep since about 10:45. No, on the couch. She's a beautiful woman. So I went back to the gym that I kind of began lifting at so many years ago. I talked to the people there, and it turns out that if you are a volunteer at the YMCA, you get a free gym membership. So that's what I did. Well, as it turned out, two things happened. One, I still didn't have enough time to drive and go to that gym because I was working all the time, and I was training either really early in the morning, just before work, or late at night when I finished work at home. But the big thing that happened was the guy who worked Saturday and Sunday mornings, the guy who opened the gym at 6 a.m., decided, hey, he was kind of on a salary type of deal. He would really prefer to go out Friday and Saturday nights and sleep in Saturdays and Sundays than he would work Saturdays and Sundays. So he would call in sick every Saturday and Sunday. He would call me the night before and say, hey, Clint, I need you to work Saturday and Sunday for me. Fine. Sounds good. I volunteered, didn't get paid, got my gym dues, and went in. And as it turned out, they actually paid me. I got paid minimum wage, which was fine. I was expecting nothing. But what I gained from all of this was so much more. After the first weekend of working there, I realized I had to do something. I had to go that morning or the night before. I went to Walmart and I bought the good coffee. I never drank coffee till about 2 years ago, guys. I knew nothing about coffee. So I went and bought the most expensive, nice name brand coffee that I could find at the Walmarts. I bought some donuts that morning on my way to work. Just happened to be 3 doors down, Salmon's Bakery, if you know anything about Murray, Kentucky. And I brought them into the gym and put them out, had the good coffee roasting and some nice donuts or brownies or whatever. This lady made amazing stuff. Not stuff you would find, just amazing stuff, owned by a lady. And I would have it sitting there. The people who come in the gym at 6 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday mornings are not the normal people that you see during the week. You only see them when the doors open on Saturday and Sunday mornings. Those were the head basketball coach, the head tennis coach for the university, the head football coach, the strength and conditioning coach would come in there quite a bit. Volleyball coach, I mentioned tennis, the presidents of the bank, the president of the board of education for both school systems would come in, the owners of other restaurants and businesses throughout town. That's when they came in. In fact, there was one guy who used to come in and he rode his bicycle for miles and miles and miles before he came into the gym. And then when it was raining outside and he couldn't ride, he would come in extra early and spend tons of time in the gym doing all kinds of things. And when they would walk in the door on the days that I was working, they would notice the place smelled better. The coffee was better. There were some kind of snacks for them to snack on. Nobody knew they were snacking on brownies before they got on the treadmill because they were there at 6 o'clock in the morning. And they love to talk. And so do I. And I just met with them and talked with them. And I made connections with those kind of people within the community. And as years developed and years went on, and even to this day, when I go back home into the community, people remember me from then. And that's really the biggest thing I can tell you is to find a place and go volunteer. Just walk in, work the front desk, just learn a little bit of the business, clean the machines, clean the front desk, talk to the people coming in the door. That's how you get to be like this, that friendly, ugly face that somehow people just tend to like. Develop your personality talking to people. And of course, as time went on with me, I got involved in the sport of strongman. Again, I'm an investing guy. I invested a lot of money, got a loan, bought strongman equipment, and at that time, I was the only person within hours. A solid 4-hour drive was the closest next place that had Atlas stones, a platform to load them on, a tire to flip, farmer's walk implements, a log to press, an axle. Nobody had those things. I had 5 or 6 Husafell stones, real wooden Husafell stones cut from trees, 3 or 4 different strange farmer's walk type implements. So people would drive from hours and hours and hours every Sunday. And it just so happens, again, I am that obsessive, detailed person. And I always had the attitude that I told people, don't show up tomorrow unless you have a plan on what you are going to do. And if you don't have a plan, I'm going to make one for you. And you're probably going to enjoy your plan a lot more than you're going to enjoy what I'm going to make you do. And it didn't take long before I was making plans. And this was back in the sit down at a full-size computer and type email kind of thing. So 1 to 2 days on Friday nights, usually, for the Sunday training, I would sit down and I would write down the training plan for everyone that was coming. Everyone, for every event. And at times there were 13 to 15 people showing up besides myself to train. And I had to sit back and look and say, what did they do last week? What did I see their strengths and weaknesses were? What do they need to work on? Do they have a competition coming up? Do they just need to be part of the team and kind of fill in the blanks and be a helper and get in there and play around? Have they been killing themselves on this? And they need to back off a little bit on this and push. Do they like this event? Do they hate this event? How do we need to shift their training? And me working with that number of people every single week, I got the experience of working online, typing things out, and working with them face to face in person, developing their training. And that was a huge start for me on learning how to develop training plans for a wide array of a lot of different people. Teenagers, guys in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, all with different goals and backgrounds. So then, of course, met the beautiful woman, stopped shaving, quit my job, moved to Cyprus. Beautiful island where it's currently after midnight and I'm sitting outside still sweating and it's November. Going to my gym, my first training partners were, I had a Russian training partner that spoke no English or Greek. We communicated, there was dust on the windows, and we would just write down numbers, sets, and reps. He would call back home and get information from his old coaches in Russian on printed paper, and then I would get someone to translate them for me about programs and ideas and thoughts, and then I would do the same thing and give them to him. A lot of my training partners were with the Royal Air Force, the British Royal Air Force here on the base that would come to train with me. And again, I told every single one of them, you either show up with your own plan or I'm making one for you. So I got doing the exact same thing, writing down everyone's plan a couple of nights before and sending it to them either on the phone or through email. And you just begin developing plans for everyone. And if you followed me through the strongman journey over the last 15 years or so, my training crew has been just me. It's been 5 people and then just me. and then it's been 10 people and just me. It's been 15 to 20 people every Sunday, and then just me. 2 or 3 people, and then just me, and then hey, I'm sitting out here, and again, it's just me. But I've worked with so many people, volunteer, didn't get paid for anything, just working with people, planning, preparing, and then implementing, and then reviewing after that. What do we do? Because I video everything that happens, and that's kind of developed my knowledge base. It's gotten me where I am today. So, what do you need to do what I do? Well, if you need the certifications, then get the certifications. I highly suggest that you always continually educate yourself. If you want to do something with CrossFit, and it's a brilliant thing to learn, I encourage you to go do that. Anything that offers a certification or some kind of knowledge, I encourage you to go and get it. I buy an ebook every single week and read it. Something I'll buy, whether it's Amazon, it's online somewhere, somebody will send me something. I read it, devour it, put things together. You see, a lot of the things that I'm doing out here in training don't seem to make any sense because I've picked it up from someone else's book and I'm trying to implement what I've read, twist it and turn it to make it work either for myself or for someone else that I'm currently or maybe in the future will be working with. And of course, it's a digital world. So no matter what I'm doing digitally, I always seem to be in this cyclical fashion. Maybe it's cyclical this way, this way, this way, I don't know. Of learning a new tool digital-wise with the computer, the internet, phones, the cameras, lights, I love. Setting it up, putting it into practice, and then continually, constantly learning. Because in today's world, you can't just be somebody who's an X's and O's, who's a sets, reps, and percentage kind of person. You have to know everything. Everything about digital media, how to work with people, how to talk with people, how to put everything into practice. You can't just be a one-dimensional person. So I hope I didn't cloud everything with all of the ideas and everything that needs to be done to kind of be like me. But what I'm telling you is that the opportunities are all around you. There are so many things, and you can't choose a wrong direction to start with. Go out and volunteer. Start helping people. Start planning, preparing, and assessing after the fact. And then continue to repeat the process with people that you're just randomly helping. Get into a gym, volunteer there, and just talk to people, meet people, get out into your community. It doesn't have to be the strength and conditioning or the fitness community at all in order for you to lay those foundations, which will springboard you into the future. And then just continue to video everything that you do, learn to assess it, and keep trying new things. See what works for you, see what works for others, and just continue the cyclical pattern of becoming better and better and better at your job. Because the moment that you stop moving in that cyclical pattern and getting better and better and better is the moment that you start getting worse. Hope this helps you just a little bit. Hope this answers a few questions. We'll talk to you soon. Can't wait to see where you go.